Hi there. Welcome into the final OUA basketball show of 2022. It's hard to believe we're already this far into the season, but boy oh boy have we been lucky to see some fantastic basketball all across Ontario this year. My name's Griffin Porter. You're watching the OUA basketball show. Welcome to the last show of 2022. Because it is that final one of the year, I thought that we would go through some of the best storylines that have been taking place so far this season, and also go through some games to watch in the second half and things like that. And I know that they've gotten some coverage on this show, but I think that it's more than fair to say that the basketball capital of Ontario this season has been good old Kingston, where both the men's and women's Queen's Gales have been putting the rest of the province on notice. So that's where we're going to start our show. Those two teams, men's and women's, have a combined 18-1 record so far this year, led, of course, by the undefeated women's team at 10-0. I think a lot of us, including myself, were very interested to see what the Queen's women's team was going to bring this season. They had that great run at the Final Eight last year, but they only qualified for that tournament because they were the host team, so I was wondering how they would be able to use that experience. And they, of course, were dealing with the big loss of Sophie de Goody, and yeah, they responded. Queens, as you know, they're 10-0, and they're doing it with a great team effort. A big shout out to head coach Claire Meadows and her staff. They've got 3 scorers in the top 30 in Ontario. They've all been getting it done as a unit, and it's one of the best stories in OUA basketball right now. And then, of course, on the women's side, there's the GGs, who are our other undefeated team at 9-0, as opposed to the Gales 10-0, so not quite as impressive. GGs, you got to play that one more game. However, I do think that if I had to choose, I would say that they're my current Critelli Cup favorites. It's tough because Queens has looked so good, but there's so much talent on that Ottawa roster. Of course, something to look forward to. Those two teams are going to play at least twice in the second half of the season, and I feel like those games are probably going to teach us a lot. They'll play one in Ottawa and one in Kingston, so it'll be nice and even. That'll be something to watch. And then on the men's side, my favorite story this year have been all about the Windsor Lancers. Had them as one of my teams to watch in our preseason episode with Trung Ho all the way back at the start of the year, and they have lived up to it. They're 7-2 right now atop their division, and Thomas Kennedy is playing like a Player of the Year candidate, averaging almost 20 points and 16 rebounds a game. He's been balancing that with playing a bit for Team Canada. He's been doing it all this year, the big man. And, of course, we got to talk about the best team in Toronto as well, the U of T Varsity Blues. They've been a great season, a great story. They took their hot start and proven that it wasn't just a hot start. It was just a legitimate, great year from a strong team. And with the Carleton Ravens looking a little bit shaky right now, they're in a bit of a rebuilding year. I think that there's some real conversations to be had about the best men's team in Ontario. Whether you think it's the Gales with their great 8-1 record, they just lost their first game last week against the TMU Bold on a last-second shot. So it's been a lot of good games from the Queen's Gales and just one loss by the narrowest of margins. Or you could think it's the Windsor Lancers. They also took care of a quality opponent last weekend. We had Michael Okafor, our guest last week. Him and his Lakehead Thunderwolves went on the road trip. They got the win in Western against the Mustangs, but they weren't able to take down the Lancers, so a tough one there. But Windsor putting up a quality win to go into the break on a high note. And you could also think it's the University of Ottawa GGs. They are tough to beat right now. So much talent on that roster, so well coached. And of course, still the Ravens. I mean, they've lost 2 games this year, which I know feels like a big number for all you Carleton fans and alumni out there. I know to head coach Taffy Charles feels like a big number, but the talent is there, the coaching is there, the system is there, and the championship pedigree is there, so don't count them out yet either. We're going to be watching Capital Hoops between the GGs and the Ravens with great interest. But right now I think it's Queens' crown to defend. They have looked like the best men's team in Ontario so far this year. And I think that everyone else is going to have to prove that they can hang around with the Gales and play at their level in order to warrant conversation for the Wilson Cup. Because right now, I think it belongs to Queens. And just to round out this first half recap, I think we got to shout out Sarah Gates. We all know what she's been capable of at McMaster University, just absolutely torching opponents all season. But it is on another level. We've seen it from her in previous years, but this year, a different level. She's averaging 27 points per game, which is insane. And then the second highest leading scorer, Vanessa Hughes of Waterloo, a great player her own right, she's averaging just over 20. Those are the only two players in the province that are averaging more than 20 points a game. But that's like a 7-point difference, 6.8 if you want to be exact, 6.8 points between Sarah Gates in first and Vanessa Hughes in second in that scoring race. And that gap, 6.8 points, is the same as the gap between Hughes in second and Toronto's Lauren Boers in 15th. So the gap between Sarah Gates in first and Vanessa Hughes in second is the same as the gap as between second and 15th. It's been incredible basketball out of Hamilton from Sarah Gates and the rest of the McMaster team. Nothing to sneeze at either. I know Gates gets the headlines. She gets the talk on shows like this. But the rest of the McMaster team, some quality on that roster as well. And they're showing it. They're first place in their division. So, yeah, I think that is just about going to do it. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to our final show of 2022. Whether this is your first show or whether you've watched every show of the year so far, we really appreciate it. Everyone here at the OUA, we've had a lot of fun making this show for you, and I can't wait to see what 2023 is going to bring us on the hard court here in Ontario. I know we at the show, we got big plans for 2023. We're going to be bringing you more awesome guests, hoping to get some more players. Like we had Michael on last week. I loved that. We have journalists that we're also hoping to get on to bring that unique perspective, people who are following their teams. So if you've got anyone you would like to see as a guest, please leave it in the comments below. I would love to listen to the people watching this show and hear what you have to say and who you want to hear from, and we can try our best to make it work. But for now, everyone, please enjoy the break. If you're a student out there, good luck with exams. Study hard. Also remember, have fun. It's going to be okay. You're going to do great on your exams. Enjoy the break, and we will see you in 2023.